Is the dollar losing its throne? Has the reign of the US dollar come to an end? Or are we just caught up in the buzz of dollarization? These are questions stirring endless debates. Over the past few years, there's been plenty of speculation, hype, and let's face it, some fabricated claims suggesting the dollar is dead, but let's cut through the noise. If you really want to understand the dollar's role, focus on its global dominance. The Atlantic Council even tracks this, showing that the dollar still holds strong in global reserves, trade, and transactions. So is the dollar dying? The evidence says otherwise. The dollar is far from dead. It still commands 57% of global foreign exchange reserves, 54% of export invoicing, and a massive 88% of foreign exchange transactions. Clearly, it's alive and thriving. But that said, there's an interesting twist in the story. The BRIC nations are gaining momentum, making notable strides toward competing with the dollar. While some headlines sensationalize this as the end of the dollar, let's not jump to conclusion. The progress is real, but it's not the seismic shift some claim it to be. The dollar's dominance isn't going anywhere just yet. I've always said it's like the death by 1,000 cuts. Over time, this will take a serious toll on the dollar. But as we move closer to that tipping point, I believe we'll see a wave of innovation emerge. By the time it becomes a major issue, we might already be shifting toward a multipolar currency-based system. So what does that actually look like? Let's dive in. First, let's unpack the BRICS and their growing influence. Their footprint is expanding rapidly, and when you look closely, it's clear they're on the path to becoming a dominant force. BRICS expanding its influence across the global south, and as of January 13th this year, this snapshot shows the latest on G7 and BRICS member countries. Unfortunately, there isn't an updated map yet, though we wish there was. On this map, G7 nations are marked in blue, while BRICS countries are dark red, with the new BRICS members in lighter red. And as you can see, their footprint is growing fast. You might shrug this off, thinking it's not a big deal, but it's a clear sign of BRICS's increasing dominance in the global system. So what's their game plan? Are they aiming to dethrone the dollar, take over global leadership? Not quite. Russia, for example, claims this is all about building a multipolar world order, but it certainly raises questions about the shifting balance of power and where this is heading. Let's dive into this. Putin claims the BRICS summit signals a multipolar world on the rise. Now, I'm not shelling out for Bloomberg, so we'll work with what we have here, but this is big. Global dynamics are shifting. What's fascinating is that the idea of a multipolar world isn't new. It's been in the spotlight for years. Flashback to December 2024, when Putin voiced his vision for a fair, just, and multipolar world. This is more than just politics. It's a dramatic shift worth watching. Take a look. Building on that, we saw a recent statement on March 24th from Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov, who declared that the journey toward a fairer, more balanced multipolar world is well underway.
Creation of a more fair and more balanced multipolar order. New centers of growth are arising beyond the collective West, such as China and others, the global South and the global East, many countries of Eurasia, the Middle East, Latin America, almost the entire non-Western world, representing different civilizations and cultures, and all of them are united by a commitment to the democratization of international affairs.
This is largely about nations pushing back against the weaponization of the US dollar. They're seeking fairness, democratization, and calling for a multipolar world. But what does this mean for XRP? Let's dive in. Where does XRP fit into this emerging multipolar system? Let's start with an intriguing update. Ripple's CEO predicts a global explosion of stablecoins and is urging the US to act fast. He's warning that without clear regulations, the US risks losing its edge in the digital currency race. And here's the thing, this isn't just about USD stablecoins. We're entering a world where stablecoins from all corners of the globe will become a reality, reshaping the financial landscape as we know it. It's no longer just about the US, which is why when Scott Besson claims that USD stablecoins will save the dollar and cement the US as a digital asset leader, I'm not entirely convinced. What we're seeing is the global rise of stablecoin initiatives fueling a democratized shift toward a multipolar currency landscape. This evolution is sparking a fundamental change. Stablecoins are no longer just a financial tool. They're paving the way for a digital-first financial system. and where reliance on a single reserve currency begins to fade and a new era of decentralized global finance takes shape. Here's why instant settlement could change everything. Once it's in place, the need for a reserve currency starts to fade. I've said this countless times, but let's not stop there. Imagine a world with a multipolar currency system where global currencies share the stage. As of June 6, 2023, we see crypto often hyped as the contender to dethrone the US dollar, but realistically, it's not happening anytime soon. Why? Technical instability and wild price swings keep it from being a viable option right now. For any currency to succeed as a reserve, it must deliver rock-solid stability, widespread adoption, and act as a reliable store of value. Only then can we reduce the risks of one dominant reserve currency controlling global trade. The idea of a multipolar currency system where multiple currencies share dominance in the global economy is gaining traction, and honestly, I think it's inevitable. We're already watching it unfold. Right now, the stage is mostly held by USDT, Tether, the leading stablecoin peg to the US dollar, but this is just the beginning. More stablecoins are emerging, and big players are making moves. The EU is gearing up to launch a digital euro, and the UK is planning a digital pound. The days of a single currency ruling the financial world might soon be over, and we're on the brink of a new era in the global economy. Japan seems to be exploring the potential of the Japanese yen in a new way, signaling a shift towards a fully digital and multipolar financial system. But where's this idea coming from? Let's turn to Mark Carney for some clues. Remember when Mark Carney, former Bank of England governor and now on track to become Canada's prime minister, said something striking? He pointed out that in a multipolar world, we need a multipolar currency. Bold moves don't just happen, they're made to happen. Big shout out to Subjective Views for highlighting this. And here's the kicker. Everything happening around XRP, especially in the traditional finance space, feels like it's falling into place. The alignment is almost uncanny. Don't believe me? Take a closer look.
So what's the point?
Give us the thumbnail. Why can't the dollar be the global currency?
Okay, the dollar is the global currency. We know that. The challenge is that the U.S. share of the global economy has been reducing. The dollar's share of payments, not just financial assets, but payments, a lot of payments between countries that have nothing to do with the U.S. are in dollars. And what happens in situations like we're in today, where the U.S. economy, to its credit, is relatively strong, is doing better, and the Fed has been doing the right thing, which is, they've adjusted policy, they tightened policy as it was strengthening. Now they're making, the Fed is doing the right thing, but they have adjusted and policy is relatively strong. That means rest of world policy is tighter than it needs to be. And that feeds back on the U.S. economy in a way that ultimately slows this economy. And it leads to a substandard outcome. And in a world where you only have limited policy space, it's a dangerous place to be. And so the trade issues we're talking about are reinforced by the structure of the monetary system. Now, I mean, you've asked a big question, so just give me a second to, but now the issue is you don't just jump to something new overnight. And what we want in a multipolar world, I think we'd agree that we've got European engine, we've got the Chinese engine, we've got the U.S. engine of this economy. Multipolar world, you need a multipolar currency. The question is, how do you get there? And I laid out some ideas of how you would get there.
And the bottom line, Governor, is that all of the pressure on the difference in growth around the world would not fall on the dollar exchange rate. Yeah. It would be spread out if it was a global basket of currencies.
It would be spread out as a global basket of currencies. It's better for the system as a whole. It's better. It raises that equilibrium level of interest rates.
Right.
It gives central banks more policy, but it gives people who are watching greater returns on their savings.
Well, certainly.
From over here, we've got Mark Carney lined up as a potential replacement for Justin Trudeau as Canada's prime minister. But let's focus on what he's saying. Talking about a basket of currencies. This isn't just limited to stable coins. It could also include central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You need a multipolar currency to connect these assets, And XRP could be the perfect bridge. Ripple has been quietly setting the stage for years, positioning XRP to serve as a bridge currency for CBDCs. This isn't just a far off idea, it's something that's actively unfolding. Take raw USD as an example. Ripple has plans to launch even more stablecoins, and they've been clear that XRP is designed to be the ultimate bridge between these digital assets. Here's what I believe is unfolding with the BRICS alliance, a new system, one that's set to be powered by decentralized currencies like XRP. And guess what? Anderson called it, the stage is set. Now, who better to lead these negotiations than Carney himself? This gem was shared on April 9th during a period of rising global tension. But here's the kicker. Carney highlighted how President Trump's pause on reciprocal tariffs was a much needed breather for the global economy. But even more intriguing, the announcement hinted at the US entering bilateral talks with several other nations. We could be on the brink of a massive shakeup in the global trading system, a complete transformation. Reading about this feels surreal, especially after watching that video. And let's not forget, Mark Carney floated the idea of a digital reserve currency back in 2019. It's wild to think how these pieces connect, yet so many seem unaware of the major players involved. What we're witnessing is nothing short of a revolution in the global financial system. I truly believe we're seeing the foundations of a major shift. The world is already leaning into a multipolar system when it comes to currencies, and the pace is picking up. Switching everything to digital doesn't happen overnight, but it's only a matter of time. For me, XRP stands out as a top contender, both as a multipolar currency and an incredibly efficient bridge currency. If we're truly moving into a multipolar currency system, I believe XRP will be at the heart of it, powering this transformative shift. That's just my take. What's yours? If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated. I'm here to provide free content, and I appreciate every one of you tuning in. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.